I'm Ivonne, and this is...
Geoff Horrocks.
Yeah.
Still. I haven't changed my name yet.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah. Well.
Still know you as Geoff.
Yeah, that's good.
Geoff.
With a G. That's right. That's right.
Okay, so first question.
Yep.
How old were you when you started playing music?
I was apparently about 3.5, and I started on the pump organ.
Really?
Yeah, that was my first instrument. We had a pump organ. We were living in Montreal. We had a pump organ in our living room, you know, with all the stops.
Yeah.
That's where they got that expression, pulling out all the stops. Was it organ stops?
That's where that came from?
That's where that came from.
I had no idea.
Pulling out all the stops. Yeah. So
cool.
it had two pedals.
Yeah.
So that you pumped. You know,
Yeah.
you got air into the bellows. And I would stand on one foot and pump with the other foot.
Oh my goodness.
And my nose came up to the keyboard, and I apparently would play little melodies.
That's really
So,
cute.
Yeah, with the pump organ.
Who has pump organs in their house anymore?
That doesn't happen.
I know, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then when did you start playing piano?
I started playing piano when I was, I think about 25, 26, yeah.
And then you also are a great fiddler. When did you start playing fiddle?
Same time.
And you also play guitar.
Yeah, I started that probably about 5 years earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We kind of did everything around the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then got really good really fast.
Well,
Or
jack of all trades.
sometimes, yeah.
Master of none.
No, stop. Master of them all now. This is great. Yeah, no, it's always fun. And so, I guess, is piano, would you consider that your kind of main thing, or?
Well, it's probably what I'm the most comfortable with, you know.
Right.
You know, I'm comfortable with the fiddle, but I think because I started it much later, I'm not quite as you know, relaxed with it. You know, I kind of overthink it a little bit still.
Right.
You know, like it's like trying to play an old tune, you know,
Yeah.
that you haven't played in a while.
Right.
And when you play other instruments, it kind of informs what you do on those other instruments.
Totally.
You know, you think differently about how you play.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun to be able to play more than one instrument.
Yeah, absolutely. And so who would your favorite, maybe piano player be? Or fiddle, or guitar player, for that matter?
Well, you know, recently I've discovered this man from Scotland, and his name is David Milligan.
Okay.
And I got this book from him, the Scottish piano book from him, and he has this way of reharmonizing tunes. So he takes basic tunes and reharmonizes them and changes the rhythmic structure behind them. You know, the accompaniment structure. It's really, really interesting.
Oh, cool.
So he turns out to be this phenomenal jazz piano player. So I'm really kind of into this guy right now.
Oh, nice.
So it kind of, you know, it moves around. My interests move around.
Totally.
So that's probably my favorite piano player. And then I'm a big fan of the crooners.
Yeah.
Bing Crosby and these guys. That's really, you know, that's really where my heart lies.
Uh-huh.
In, you know, kind of in that style of music. And I think it's probably because, you know, when I was growing up listening to music, I found the stuff that I was exposed to was not really interesting chord-wise, harmony-wise.
Right.
So when I started discovering, you know, the older music, you know, 30s and 40s and 50s, seemed to have a lot more to it. You know, interesting chord progressions that I've been able to kind of incorporate into fiddle. You know, fiddle accompaniment. You know, just lots of moving lines and that sort of thing.
And I think that's probably what makes your accompaniment style so interesting and fun for me to play with, you know, just because there's always something cool and interesting that might not be standard, but it makes it exciting, you know.
Yeah. And I think probably some of that comes from the fact that I've never studied.
Yeah.
I've never studied anybody.
Yeah.
I've never listened to really to other piano players. You know, with the exception of maybe Denny Langton.
Oh yes.
I know.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He completely blows my mind, you know. But,
Yeah.
you know, my memory of Denis is, you know, it's distant now. I mean, I heard him a long time ago. You know, I haven't heard him in a long time. So I have these sort of broken memories of what I think I heard him do.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you try to emulate that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he's a phenomenal fiddle player as well, and I feel the exact same way about his fiddling too.
Yeah.
Who has been your biggest musical influence?
I'd say, you know what, it probably comes down to two people. And the first one is my dad. Yeah, he was probably my biggest musical influence. We used to sit in the living room. We had an organ, so you know, we graduated from the pump organ to the Hammond organ.
That's amazing.
We had an organ,
Yeah.
and so the organ had two keyboards, and you know, you play chords in your left hand and melody in your right hand, and bass pedals, so you play the bass pedals as well. And he would play the trumpet.
Oh.
And we would play together. I would play the organ, and he'd play the trumpet, and we'd play music together. You know, so
That's so fun.
he got me interested in music, really. So.
Yeah. And that's like another unique perspective on what you bring to these fiddle styles now too.
I suppose in some ways, yeah. And then the other person is Randy Foster.
Right.
So, you know, Randy
the fiddle fireman.
Randy the fiddle and fireman. Yeah, of course he got me interested. You know, the first time I heard him and my dad play, you know, I'd never heard fiddle music before, and it was love at first note.
Oh wow!
Absolutely, it was just.
That's so cool.
I had to learn to play the fiddle.
Yeah.
I had to learn to play the fiddle, and that's when I started playing the piano, because they said, well, you know, we need a piano. You really need a piano player with fiddle music. So I was given the job of
the honor.
the job of learning how to do that. So,
yeah.
But it was great because it opened up so many doors for me. I only ever played in the key of C. So, you know, I had C, and I had F, and I had G. Sometimes when I got really crazy, I could play an A minor.
Okay.
But when fiddle music came along, it wasn't in C anymore, so it really pushed me to learn other chords.
You can't just put a capo on your piano, you know, and play in C still.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So Randy really pushed me a lot.
Cool.
So he was a big influence for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
For your dad.
All right.
most interesting place you have traveled to with your music?
Well, I mean, other than camps, you know, camps take you all over Canada, but probably the most interesting place is probably the Northwest Territories.
Oh, cool.
You know, up in these little fly-in communities and that sort of thing, teaching kids up there. It's really it's interesting. It's a beautiful country, and the people are beautiful. It's a different way of life. It's definitely a different way of life up there. So it really makes you appreciate, you know, what you have here, you know, because you see the contrast, you know, between some of these outlying communities in here. So yeah, probably the most interesting places are up in the Northwest Territories, I would say. Yeah, especially in the winter.
Yes,
especially in the winter. That's when it's the best. That's when, you know, the snow is. Yeah. It's cold, and the northern lights and the snow. And I love it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So one last question for you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite dessert? Gotta think about this one.
Well, the right thing to say is anything that Trish makes is my favorite dessert. But actually, my favorite dessert is carrot pudding.
Carrot pudding?
Carrot pudding. And it's made, it was traditionally made in my family at Christmas time.
Oh, wow.
And it's made with potatoes, and carrots, and raisins, and currants, and what else is in it? Suet.
Wow.
Sugar, candied fruit, you know, that you would have in fruit cake, that's in it as well. And it all gets shredded and mixed together and steamed.
Okay.
It's steamed in a pot, and it comes out like a bread, and it's sweet.
Oh, interesting.
And you make like a white sweet sauce and pour it on top. You got to try it. It's
that
really
sounds
good.
Amazing. I've never even heard of that before.
Carrot pudding.
Carrot pudding. Okay, I'll be able to look at it. Maybe I'll come up here for Christmas then.
Sure, and it's good. And it's good the next morning when you fry it in a frying pan and put some syrup on top.
Oh, amazing. Oh, okay. Good. Well, all right. I've invited myself over around Christmas time for this special, delicious carrot pudding.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, Geoff.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you so much.